This is the unexpected emotional story of an $8 thrift store writing desk, a story that you won't soon forget and one that I didn't fully understand until the moment I finished this restoration. In this video, I want to show you how you can be a part of saving old furniture from destruction, whether it be from the landfill or from turning it into irreversible painted disasters. We've all heard it before. This piece is so dated, and it needs a fresh coat of paint and some new hardware. If you thought that, you may not be wrong for some furniture, but listen to this story first and let me know if I made the right decision. Also, somewhere in this video, I've hidden this small brass horse. Can you find it 3 times throughout the video? A married couple casually walked into a small town thrift store one day, and they had no idea on that day the impact that their small $8 purchase would eventually have. So what is this, and what stories could it share? Some might call this a desk, but I think it's an old writing table. To avoid confusion, consider the words desk and table to be interchangeable throughout this video. It's certainly a mission-style piece, and although I couldn't find any maker's marks, I think it was probably made in the early 1900s and intended to be used in a public or university library. The easiest way to identify drawer pulls and other hardware is to check it with a magnet. This hardware is magnetic, indicating it's solid steel, often plated with nickel or brass. Solid brass hardware would not respond to a magnet. This will certainly determine the best method for cleaning and polishing your hardware. I was only able to find a few similar furniture pieces listed online, but with limited information. A quick Google search would yield these following results. Mission-style furniture is characterized by straight lines with square or rectangular legs. These pieces are often made from solid wood like oak, cherry, or walnut, and stained with a darker color with careful attention paid to the grain of the wood. Mission-style furniture emerged as a reaction to the ornate Victorian style and the mass-produced furniture of the Industrial Revolution. The term mission style was coined by New England furniture craftsman Joseph McHugh, who was inspired by a chair he found in a San Francisco church in the 1890s. You may recognize names or designs from the early arts and crafts and mission era like Morris, Stickley, and even Frank Lloyd Wright. I've learned that the best way to restore and refinish old furniture is to disassemble and label all the pieces as much as possible, and also remove all of the screws. Not only will this make it easier to strip the old finishes, but it may also allow you the chance to really appreciate the beauty and craftsmanship of the piece. This may make you second guess your plan to paint over the gorgeous natural wood grain. As the new chapter of this story continues, the couple that recently found this old table had seen many furniture videos on YouTube and knew what to search for in the thrift stores, but they weren't sure about this old table. They decided to take the risk and purchase it for $8. They eventually reached out to me, telling me they had purchased the table because they thought of me and wanted to know if I'd like to have it, either to restore or just to resell. The resale value of this table once refinished would likely only be a few $100s, and at the time, I wasn't sure this would make for an interesting restoration video. I also didn't have a practical use for it in my own home, so I stored it away for several months. Then one day, everything changed. Once I secure some of the old joints with hide glue, I'll move on to removing the old finishes. This looks to be the original finish, with the exception of a few areas where paint was likely spilled. I've only recently discovered a new eco-friendly finish remover on the market. This is QCS by Stripwell, and the products shown are the finish remover and the cleaner. This is not a sponsored product, but I do consider the owner, Gary, a friend in the furniture business. He created his product after 20 plus years restoring and refinishing old furniture. It's easy to spray on, and once I let it sit for about 30 minutes, I'll come back and apply another coat before attempting to remove it with a shop rag or a scraper. It can be used for many different finishes, but works best to remove traditional finishes like lacquer and shellac. This product is relatively new to me, so the steps I take to remove the finishes in this video may not completely align with those suggested on the product labels. But I was thrilled to see how well this product removed the old finishes the first time. After scraping off the excess finish remover, I applied the QCS surface cleanser and proceeded to scrub the detailed areas with shop rags, steel wool, and a few brushes as seen. This is TSP, or trisodium phosphate, a heavy-duty cleaning agent. Note that this product is free of the phosphate, which can be harmful for the environment. The nice part about using a non-hazardous finish remover like QCS that's free of methylene chloride is I don't have to worry when rinsing the piece with water. I'll mix some TSP with warm water and proceed to scrub this table with plastic brushes. Before this project, I never considered rinsing old furniture with a garden hose. It just seemed like the wrong thing to do, until I saw several seasoned furniture refinishers using this method on museum-quality furniture pieces. After all, this wood was harvested from a tree full of water and other nutrients all of its life, and the tree was also, no doubt, exposed to the elements for many decades. The key is to immediately dry off every section of your furniture by blowing it off with an air hose and setting it outside to dry. You do not want any water left pooling in any of the detailed areas. Any of the finish I missed can be removed with a scraper. Before I start sanding, let's go back for a moment. Let's refer to this as a writing desk, and imagine that 100 years ago, in its prime, many people sat at this desk, slowly crafting their stories with an ink pen, writing about life during the 19th century and their responses to the recent turn of the century. This entire writing desk is solid oak and has already enabled me to try different refinishing techniques. I'll use various power sanders and hand sanding blocks to sand this table with 150 grit, then 220 grit. This first sander is an oscillating sander and can be found in thrift stores, at yard sales, or for less than $100 at any hardware store. Although this sander is slower than an orbital sander, it allows you to have more control over the sanding process and prevents swirl marks left behind by most orbital sanders. I'll use a carbide scraper to remove some of the old finishes I missed during the last step. If you do a lot of sanding with various power sanders, you might consider picking up a cheap cutting board at the thrift store and marking out the different sizes of sandpaper for each sander. This SurfPrep 5-inch orbital sander is more efficient and works better on large surface areas like the tabletop, Any swirl marks left behind will be sanded by hand with 220 grit during the final step. Notice the moisture seeping through the grain. I should have allowed this more time to dry and even used a heat gun to speed up the process. The first pass with the sander pulled up some of the remaining residue. I'll use a rubber block to remove this, helping to prolong the life of the sandpaper. The SurfPrep 3x4 sander is the best all-around sander, known especially for being able to reach the detailed areas where other sanders fall short. I'll list all these products used in the video description, but please note this video and this heartfelt story is not a means for product placements, but rather my genuine feedback regarding tools and methods that have helped me in my small business. My name is Barry, and although this is primarily a furniture channel, I'm passionate about all the simple things around me. So while I continue to work on this old desk, I want to take a moment to show you what's just outside the city. Although the days have been nice here in Wisconsin, the fall weather is quickly approaching, and it's time to prepare for the cold months ahead. This video is sponsored by Dreo, the #1 space heater brand. I worked with Dreo recently, and their powerful smart fans kept me cool during the summer months. Now that the fall weather is here, I'm excited to try their revolutionary space heaters, since the evenings and early mornings are especially cool. It's such a great feeling to work in my shop early in the mornings, but it is getting colder. I'm sure I'll wish for mornings like this in the coming months. The signs of the changing seasons are all around us. When I come out to the shop early in the mornings, I like to run my Dreo space heater in the small space where I'm working. It creates such a cozy feeling and sets the mood for the day. A comfortable work and living space is one of the small things that makes my house feel more like a home. Here in my living area, this heater will provide warmth during the upcoming winter months. My favorite feature is the easy-to-use remote that's included. This Dreo heater has customizable oscillation and a 2-second instant warm-up mode. Other features include 2 times the heat volume and wider warmth coverage for larger spaces, a brushless motor for quiet restful nights, multi-layer protection including a child safety lock and overheat protection, temp ranges from 41 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, an eco mode, as well as 5 heat levels and 3 fan levels. Dreo is the #1 space heater brand, so check out the link in the video description for more, and enjoy an 8% exclusive discount on the Dreo website by using my code MADCITYHEATER. If we were to fast forward to the middle of the 20th century, more specifically the 1950s to 1970s, old desks like this had witnessed the evolution of storytelling, from the intimate act of placing pen to paper to the rhythm of a typewriter. With this advanced technology, typewriters were used by many scholars and dreamers in universities and libraries around the world. I've already done a simple test on the back of this hardware and determined that the drawer pull is plated, so any abrasive cleaning methods like the benchtop buffer will likely remove the thin plating. Instead, I'll try Barkeeper's Friend and a nylon brush. Whether it was this method or it was just this way as found, some of the plating was removed, but once polished, I was pleased with the results. So I'll spray on thin coats of lacquer for brass to hopefully prevent additional wear and tear. It would be a shame to spend this much time refinishing this old table and not address the weathered bolts and screws. Once polished, I'll brush on a new coat of protective enamel for the visible fasteners. If you don't have access to expensive power sanders or other refinishing tools, you can use various hand sanding tools. This will require more work, but it's certainly possible. There's one major stain on the surface of the tabletop. I'll apply a damp cloth and pass a standard clothes iron on high over the cloth for approximately 5 to 10 seconds, moving the iron consistently. The heat and moisture should help open the fibers of the wood and bring these stains to the surface. This may require several attempts and the result will vary. Be sure to use a white cloth. The dye and colored stains may stain the wood. This did help, but the stain was not removed completely, so I'll add some oxalic acid to the stained area as well as the entire tabletop. Once dry, I'll clean the top with a damp rag, then wait for it to dry again. This process of water popping should also raise the fibers, and once completely dry, a sanding block should remove more of the stain. My first thought with all this beautiful solid oak was to give this table a lighter finish, maybe more of a fresh, trendy farmhouse look, but the more time I spent on it, the more I felt that it deserved the original dark finish, a simple dark penetrating stain that would enhance the gorgeous patterns in the wood grain, and for a protective coat, maybe a period correct clear shellac that would provide adequate durability for daily use. Once the stain was applied, I noticed lighter areas where the penetrating stain was not as effective. This is common, and there are many reasons for it. To blend the colors, I'll apply a dark walnut finish toner to these areas. Once dry, I'll spray on several coats of clear shellac for the protective finish, allowing 15 to 20 minutes between coats. Do you remember the married couple who found this old writing table in the thrift store that day? Well, over the years, they have supported my dreams in ways I never could have imagined possible. I truly could not have done any of this without them. So a heartfelt thank you, Mom and Dad. Thank you to all the viewers around the world who have supported my vision in so many ways. If you feel that I've earned it and you choose to subscribe to my channel, my commitment to you is to continue to share my work and these incredible stories of our families and bygone eras that so many of us remember so vividly. Oak is notoriously grainy and has a prominent texture when finished, so I'll fill some of the grain by applying a brown furniture wax to the entire desk using a Scotch-Brite pad, then buff the surfaces with a shop rag. This will also cut down some of the glossy sheen of the shellac. Here we are now, decades later, and although weathered and bearing the marks of years of stories written, this same desk still stands firm. Once again, forced by the weight of new inventions, this desk would witness yet another change, when typewriters were slowly replaced by modern computers. Although saddened by the lost art of crafting a story with an ink-stained hand, replaced by hundreds of video clips and advanced editing software, with this change comes the opportunity for this generation to use this desk to reach people around the world with yet another story. And this time, this old, worn-out, neglected $8 writing desk is, finally, the story. It's the story of an old writing table given to a son as a gift, a symbol of love and support for a newfound journey in the world of furniture restoration. It is here at this table where stories will continue to be written and shared, celebrating the craftsmanship and memories of bygone eras. My name is Barry, and thanks for joining me. Here's another recent restoration story you may not have seen. Goodbye for now.